Elijah was a man of God. He was a prophet. This means he spoke for God. He lived a long, long time ago. His home was in Israel. God picked him for a special job. He was God's messenger. His words were from God. A very important role indeed. Israel was troubled then. Many people forgot God. They prayed to idols like Baal. And King Ahab was not a good king. Queen Jezebel was his wicked wife. They led people the wrong way. Elijah had to be very brave. He spoke God's truth to them. It was a difficult time. Elijah came from a place called Tishbe. Tishbe was in Gilead. This land was wild and rugged. It made Elijah strong and tough. His name, Elijah, meant something special. It meant, "The Lord is my God." This was the message he carried. He told everyone about the true God. He wanted them to believe. Elijah listened very closely to God. He had great big faith in God. He always obeyed what God said, even when it was very hard, or when he felt all alone. God was always right there with him. Elijah showed his deep trust. He was a faithful servant. God knew he could count on Elijah. People remember Elijah for his faith. They remember him for fire from heaven. And they remember his amazing wonders. God did powerful things through Elijah. These miracles showed God's mighty power. They proved that God was real and that God was in control. The people needed to see this clearly. Elijah helped them understand. One day Elijah prayed a bold prayer. He asked God to stop the rain. Why? Because the people had sinned. They worshipped Baal, a false god. Elijah went to King Ahab. "No rain will fall," he declared, "not for many long years." And just as he said, the rain stopped. The land became dry and dusty. During this long drought, God helped Elijah. He told Elijah where to go. First, clever ravens brought him food. Twice a day they brought bread and meat. He drank cool water from a brook. God made sure Elijah was safe. He provided all that Elijah needed. Elijah trusted God completely. He knew God would care for him. Later, God sent Elijah to Zarephath. There he met a very poor widow. She was gathering sticks for a fire. She had only a little bit of flour and just a tiny drop of oil, enough for one very small last meal, for herself and her young son. After that, they expected to die. Their situation was desperate. Elijah asked the poor widow for water. Then he asked for a piece of bread. She told him her sad story, but Elijah gave her God's promise. "Don't be afraid," he said gently. "Your jar of flour will not be empty. Your jug of oil will not run dry until the day God sends rain." She chose to trust his words. The widow made bread for Elijah first. Then she made food for herself and her son, and a wonderful miracle happened. Her flour jar never emptied. Her oil jug never ran dry. Day after day they had food. God's promise came true for them. God showed his great kindness. He cares for those in need. Sometime later, a sad thing happened. The widow's only son became sick. He grew worse and worse, and then he stopped breathing. He died. The poor widow was heartbroken. She cried out in her deep sorrow. Elijah felt her terrible pain. He wanted to help her. He cared for her and her son. Elijah took the boy to his own room. He laid him on his bed. He prayed to God with all his might. 3 times he stretched over the child. "Oh, Lord my God," he cried, "let this boy's life return to him." God heard Elijah's desperate prayer. The boy began to breathe again. He was alive and well. Elijah was not only kind but also brave. He had to speak God's truth. He spoke it to King Ahab and to Queen Jezebel too. This was very dangerous for him. The king and queen were powerful. They did not like God's messages, but Elijah did not back down. He stood firm for what was right. His greatest act of courage was on Mount Carmel. Elijah stood alone against many, 450 prophets of Baal. He challenged them to a contest. "Let us see who is the true God." The prophets of Baal built an altar. They prayed and shouted to Baal. But no answer came. No fire fell. Baal was silent. He had no power. Then it was Elijah's turn. He repaired the Lord's broken altar. He prepared his sacrifice carefully. He even had water poured all over it. 3 times they poured water. Then Elijah prayed a simple, strong prayer. He asked God to show his glory. Instantly, fire flashed from heaven. It consumed everything. The fire burned the sacrifice. It burned the wood and the stones. It even licked up the water. All the people saw this happen. They fell on their faces in awe. "The Lord, he is God," they cried. Elijah's story teaches us to trust God, to be brave and have strong faith. God is always with us to help.